All right, so good day, everyone. And today we'll be discussing another topic of science, technology, and society, which will be about human flourishing. Okay, so first to start, let me introduce to you our lesson objectives. We have to identify the different conceptions of human flourishing, determine the development of the scientific method and validity of science, and number three, critique human flourishing vis-a-vis progress of science and technology to be able to define for yourself the meaning of what we call the good life. So here in this chapter, we'll be able to actually identify now what is the meaning of progress, or basically what is for us the meaning of human flourishing, no? So ano nga ba ang flourishing para sa inyo, no? 'Di ba pag narinig natin yung term na flourishing, it means parang nagbo-bloom, no? It flourish. So here we'll be able to identify whether our idea of flourishing, no, as human, since we are capable of shaping our society through science and technology, dito natin titignan, kaya nga sa ating third objective will be on the critiquing part of what we call human human technology. Okay? So sa mga previous chapters natin, no, on our discussion, okay, the progress of human civilizations throughout history mirrors actually what we call the development of science and technology. So naumpisa natin sa pagkakaroon ng mga basic knowledge about the scientific community, or how science is actually done, no, during the early times, 'di ba? Nag-start pa tayo sa ancient times, sa panahon ng mga Greeks, ng mga Romans, okay, ng mga Babylonians, as early as the Sumerians. Now, the human person as both the bearer and the beneficiary of science and technology flourishes and actually finds meaning in the world that we build. So, in the person's pursuit of what we call the good life, pwede tayong we may unconsciously acquire or consume or possibly destroy what the world has to offer. So dito try natin i-understand, no? Can we really flourish, no? We acquire, we consume all the resources, or we are digging our grave towards the end of humanity. So it is very important for us to actually reflect on the things that truly matter. Science and technology must be taken a part of human life that merits reflective, no? Sabi nga ni Mr. Martin Heidegger, meditative thinking, no? So si Heidegger, ipapakilala ko siya sa inyo mamaya, no? Now, to be able to appreciate the fruit of science and technology, we must be able to examine not only the function and instrumentality, but also for the greater impact on humanity as a whole. So this is very important, no? Halimbawa yung mga gadgets, mga machines, mga appliances, and all the vehicles and tools that makes human lives easier because they serve as a means to an end. Yung paggamit nila lies actually on providing people with certain good, convenience, or knowledge. Okay? And for example, ngayon, no, in our era, or in the age of information, yung tinatawag nating social media, no? On the very least, no, what is the very purpose? No, are we really connecting? For example, the question: are we really connecting with one another? Since the very purpose of social media is to connect, no, one another, or are we actually more on the divisive, na side of social media? Okay. Now, for us to understand further, okay, let us try to answer this question: what is happiness? No. Ano ba sa inyo ang happiness? Para sa inyo, when we say happiness, what is our definition of happiness? Okay? So we may have a different view, no, of happiness, because happiness actually has a very vague definition, no? Wala naman tayong parang perfect definition of what is happiness, because if we're going to rate yourself, no, 1 to 10, what makes you happy, you might produce, or you might give me different reason. Okay, so let's watch this video. Sorry sa commercial. All right. So that is the concept of many people about what we call happiness. Sir, ano naman po ang kinalaman po niyan sa so let's have this presentation of here, no? I think this is by Judy Ann Silva from Prezi. Okay. So dito natin try to define what is the meaning of happiness. Okay? All right. So here on the question, no, we actually have a lot of definitions, no. So in psychology, for example, happiness is a mental or emotional state of well-being, which can be defined by, among others, positive or pleasant emotions ranging from contentment to intense joy. So sa mga behaviorists, happiness is actually a cocktail of emotions we experience when we do something good or something positive, no, 'di ba? So we feel the vibe of being happy. Diba, sinasabi natin, hanggang sa pakiramdam, no, when we do something good. Now, sa mga neurologists naman, in a more scientific way, happiness is the experience of a flood of hormones released in the brain as a reward for behavior that actually prolongs survival, no? So, 'di ba, sabi natin, parang happiness, or if you're living a good life, no, more or less you're happy. Okay? So, that is actually the definition of happiness. Pero ano kinalaman ito sa human flourishing? Now, meron tayong, I think you're familiar with the golden rule, no? No, what you do not want done to yourself, do not do unto others. Sabi nila, this is actually the best way for you to pursue, no? Happiness in your life, no? So sabi ni Aristotle, we should behave to others as we wish others to behave to us. Hurt not others with that which pains thyself, sabi ng Buddhism, and in Christianity, do not do others as you would have them do unto you. Okay, now, what's the meaning of this? No? Is happiness a destination or a journey? Meron tayong dalawang view actually ng happiness. No? We have the hedonistic view and the eudaimonia view by Aristotle. So sa hedonistic view, sinasabi niya that well-being is happiness, no, is the polar opposite of suffering. So the presence of happiness eradicates the absence of pain. Because of this, hedonists believe that the purpose of life is to maximize happiness, which minimizes misery. So sa hedonistic view, sinasabi dito na parang happiness is actually a journey. No? You have to vibe with it. You have to live with it. Okay? So let me just take a look on my book, The Hedonistic View, no, on happiness for a while. Okay, so in the pursuit of what we call good life, no. So actually maraming view yan. We also have the view of Aristotle, no. Yun nga yung hedonism, and then meron pa tayong tinatawag na Nicomachean Ethics by Nicomachus. Okay? So ito, no. So ano ba ang hedonism? So yung mga hedonists for their part see the end goal of life in acquiring pleasure. So pleasure has always been the priority of hedonists, and for them, life is about obtaining and indulging in pleasure because life is limited. Kumbaga, sa mga hedonists, their view of happiness is that life is short. Parang carpe diem. Alam niyo ba 'yon? Parang seize the moment. Ganun yung kanilang paniniwala, no? So the mantra of this school of thought is the famous eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die, no? Led by the Epicurus. So this school of thought also does not buy any notion of afterlife, just like yung mga ibang mga school of thought, no, kagaya ng mga materialists. But then we also have another view of happiness, which is what we call the eudaimonia. So eudaimonia is actually a term that combines Greek word for good-spirited or for good and spirit. So to describe the ideology, no, ang ibig sabihin ng eudaimonia is good-spirited. So eudaimonia defines happiness as the pursuit of becoming a better person. So kung titingnan natin, if hedonist view of happiness is a journey, dito naman, the eudaimonia view of happiness is actually, what do you call this? It is a destination. Okay? So ganon ang view ng so eudaimonia defines happiness as the pursuit of becoming a better person. Eudaimonists do this by challenging themselves intellectually or engaging in activities that make them spiritually richer, okay, in the pursuit again of what we call the good life. So literally, good-spirited is a term coined by a renowned philosopher. No, we have Aristotle. Siya ang gumawa ng term na yon. So this has often been translated into human flourishing in literature. So arguably likening humans to flowers achieving their full bloom. Okay? Hedonistic and the hedonistic and the eudaimonia. Lang let me just check my microphone. Sound check. All right. Okay, so that is the view, no? So kung mapapansin niyo dito, yung the hedonia or the hedonist, they are on the feel good, while the eudaimonia, they are on the feel of purpose, okay? In towards the fulfilled life. Okay? All right. So meron tayong tinatawag na human flourishing, okay? Or human flourishing arises as the result of different components, no? So ano ba yung sinasabi naman ng another view in the pursuit of happiness from the Nicomachean Ethics by Nicomachus. So here, no, as discussed in the Nicomachean Ethics, Aristotle's human flourishing arises as a result, no, of the different components such as the phronesis. Ang ibig sabihin ng phronesis, this is when we make practical decisions, friendship, wealth, and power. So in ancient Greek society, they believed that acquiring these qualities will surely bring the seekers happiness, no? So if we have the ability to make practical decisions in your life, pag meron kang mga kaibigan, kapag meron kang wealth, and of course if you have power, no? Sabi ng mga Greeks, they believe, no, that if you possess these qualities, okay, you will seek happiness. So which in effect allows them to partake in the greater notion of what we call the good. But, no, kung mapapansin natin, ayan, so ito yung sinasabi natin kanina, no? So, kung mapapansin natin, parang they do good, no, in their society. But as time changes, no, yung elements that comprise human flourishing also change. Okay? So which are subject to the dynamic of social history as written by humans. Ngayon, people found means to live more comfortably, explore more places, and develop more products, and of course, make more money. And then repeating the process in full circle. Diba? So ganun naman ginagawa natin ngayon. We work hard, no, for us to live a more comfortable life. Okay? We explore more places, not only places here on Earth, diba? We tend to discover now with the technology that we have, we tend to do extraterrestrial discovery, no? Ang pagde-develop natin ng mga maraming products that somehow helps us, no? Pwedeng food, pwedeng through medicine, and of course, no, we actually made this world to revolve or to parang as we grow old, we realize na making money is actually part of our life, no? Hindi na siya yung parang anyway, no, on the Greek view, wealth involves money also. Okay. So in the beginning, papapansin natin, no, in our discussion of the previous modules, people relied on simple machines to make hunting and gathering easier. This development allowed them to make grander and more sophisticated machines to aid them in their endeavors that eventually led them to space exploration, medicine, innovation, and ventures of life after death. No? Now, our concept of human flourishing today proves to be different from what Aristotle originally perceived. Okay? Ngayon, yung mga tao, they are expected to become a man of the world, supposed to situate himself in a global neighborhood, okay, working side by side among institution and the government to be able to reach a common goal. We are not anymore a one-man island. Kung dati parang, kung titingnan natin, no, as we evolve as humans, we tend to coordinate, we tend to communicate, and to work in groups. No, unlike other form of organisms that they are only looking for survival para sa sarili nila. Okay, so that's how they do it. Now, we can say that competition as a means of survival, no, as we discussed also on the survival of the fittest, has become a passe. Ano ibig sabihin ng passe? Ibig sabihin ng passe is outdated, no? Outdated na siya. Ngayon, ano na yung new trend? It is now the coordination. Okay? So that is now the new trend. We have coordination. Okay. Now, let us try to compare the Eastern and Western conception regarding society and human flourishing. Okay, so let's watch another video. So this is a cultural differences, no, explaining the view of the Eastern and the Western culture as regards to human flourishing and society. All right. So as a summary, no, on the differences of the Eastern conception and the Western conception. So again, yung mga the Eastern concept of society is more of focus on community centric. So ang tawag sa kanila mga collectivist, while the Western naman they are focused more on the individual, no. So dito rin, individual should sacrifice himself for the sake of society. So this is actually based, or pwede natin makita to in the teaching of the Chinese Confucian system, the Japanese Bushido. Okay, what they did here is that they encourage studies of literature, sciences, and art sa kanilang mga citizens, not for themselves actually, but for the greater cause, no, in their society. So sa Western conception naman, sa human flourishing as an end, okay, and an Aristotelian view, no, again yung eudaimonia. So the discrepancy between Eastern and Western conception regarding society and human flourishing, it has been observed, no, that again the Western is more focused on the individual, while yung sa East naman is more on the community. Okay, so the Greek of Aristotelian view on the other hand, he aims for again the eudaimonia, no? Eudaimonia meaning the ultimate good. Okay? So ito yung difference nila, no, ng Eastern and the Western conception. Okay, so let's move dun sa isang presentation. Pero ko matatapos na yung 1 hour ko sa Zoom. Okay, so again, no, going back to the Eastern and Western conception, actually, meron tayong visual comparison, no, ng differences ng Eastern and Western with specific example. Okay, so you may just pause the video here and read this one, no, yung visual comparison ng isang artist na si Yang Liu. Okay, kasi si Yang Liu meron siyang I mean, depicting the complexity of cross-cultural communication because siya, no, nakapag I think na-experience siya both yung Eastern and Western culture. So we have here, for example, no, yung sa business hierarchies. Okay, so paano ba ang Eastern sa Western, no? And then kasi meron din kayong activity that you're going to give more examples like this. Okay? And then we also have another one from the facial expression, no? Paano ba ang differences or paano ba ang difference ng facial expression ng mga Eastern and Western, no? For example, in say specific anger or displeasure reaction. Okay, what else? In self-image, no? Paano ba ang kanilang view ng self-image? Okay? So again, you may just pause, no, the video and read the definition kasi baka magkulangan ako ng time. Only have 1 hour to record dito sa Zoom. Okay. And then we also have order, no? Ayan. Yung pagpipila. Okay, I'm sure you're makaka-relate kayo dito. And number 5, the networking, yung pag-create natin ng circle of connections. Pwedeng mga friends, sa work, no? Then we also have relationship, no? Paano ba yung relationship ng Western and Eastern? So nandito naman yung definition nila sa may baba, no? And then for number 7, punctuality. Ayan, so dito nyo madedetermine that the Western or yung mga puti, no? Mga nasa west side, they are very particular on time. And samantalang tayo, since we are part of the Eastern culture, no, hindi masyado. Okay? And then sa problem solving, the last one. Wait lang, ibalik natin to para mabasa nyo yung sa baba. Okay. Ano lang yun? Parang no need for ano yun? Parang expounded explanation, or just an example. Okay. Now let's talk about science, technology, and what we call again, no, the human flourishing. Okay. So in the previous chapters, contributions of science and technology have been laid down thoroughly. No? So every discovery, innovation, and success contributes to our pool of human knowledge. Kasi nag-start lahat yon, no, because of our curiosity, our critical thinking, and creativity in actually making or understanding the world we live in. So if you're familiar, no, sa mga examples of contribution. Halimbawa, when we try to locate ourselves, no, in finding proof of our trace of evolution by Charles Darwin, uncovering secrets of the universe, no, studied by many astronomers. Okay, so ito yung sinimula ng mga early astronomers like Ptolemy, no, Nicholas Copernicus, and yung mga modern na kagaya ng mga current scientists natin, no, nandiyan sila mga yung nag-propose ng Big Bang Theory, yung mga nakadiscover, si Edwin Hubble, yung mga ganun. Okay? And of course, having a particular role which is uniquely ours, no, elicits our idea of self-importance. Kaya nga tayo, when we try to understand, no, that we are higher being compared to other organisms, we tend to create an hierarchy. Okay? Now, in this regard, that human flourishing is deeply intertwined with goal setting relevant to science and technology. So dito, masasabi natin that good is inherently related to what we call the truth. Okay? Kasi, remember, in dealing with science, no, we always need to find for the truth because science is actually based on facts. Okay? It is based on truth. Hindi pwedeng opinionated ka lang sa science kasi you really need to find, no? So, for example here, no, on Martin Heidegger, the question concerning technology, no, another essay. Dito kasi nalaman natin that technology is something that reveals also the truth in us, no? So long as we represent technology as an instrument, we remain held fast in the will to master it. We press on past essence of technology, and however we ask how the instrumental comes to presence is a kind of causality, then we experience this coming to presence as a destiny of revealing. Okay, so let's talk about the scientific method. No, so I think this is the a knowledge na tinuturo since elementary. No, so the scientific method is introduced in the earlier part of discussion. So I think ito rin yung process na sinusunod natin when we are dealing with research. No? For example, step number 1, observe and determine if there are unexplained occurrences or unfolding, determining the problem and identifying the factors involved. Tapos magpo-form tayo ng hypothesis and then conduct experiment, gather and analyze yung mga data, and of course formulate conclusion. So halimbawa, let's try to understand, for example, is there a specific or significant correlation or significant relationship to the mode of delivery of learning to the academic performance ng student? Ano ba yung mode of delivery? So this will be our independent variable wherein different mode of delivery of learning. Halimbawa, face-to-face, online class. Ang question, is there a significant relationship to the academic performance? May kinalaman ba yan sa pag-excel ng bata sa school, academic performance, okay? So kumbaga yun na-observe kasi natin eh. For example, na-observe ba ninyo na kayong online class, no? Maraming mga student ang demotivated, marami ang somehow they are just complying. Pwedeng makakuha sila ng mataas na grade, but then the numerical in a numerical perspective, no, the academic performance is actually tested by the grades, no? So for example, yon, titingnan natin yung relationship nun, okay? And then nagawa na natin actually, no, ang steps 1, 2 and 3. Na-observe natin, no, na meron mga unexplained occurrences. Bakit kaya ngayong online class marami yung mga student na demotivated? Okay? So yun yung problem natin. Ano yung mga factors involved? Okay, mode of delivery, no? Paano ba yung motivation ng mga bata? Meron ba silang mga access to good education, no, in this kind of setup? And then formulate a hypothesis, no? For example, ayun nga, is there a significant relationship to the academic performance and mode of delivery of learning, no? And then you can conduct an experiment, for example, by doing a survey, no? Gather and analyze mo yung result na or yung data na nakuha mo, and then you may formulate your conclusion. Okay? So a quick view, ito sila. Okay? Now, science naman, so that is another method. Now, of course, in science, meron din tayong tinatawag ng mga theories. No? Ano ba yung theory? Theory is a set of accepted beliefs or organized principles that explains and guide analysis. And one of the ways that theory is defined is that it is different from practice. So when certain principles are tested. Ang difference kasi ng theory to what we call laws, no? ang mga theory kasi, for example, the theory of evolution, they are not based on the empirical evidences. When we say empirical, there are supporting evidences, no, based on the tracing of scientific data and yeah, yun nga, evidences. For example, the theory of evolution. Saan ba tayo nagbe-base sa evolution? Dahil lang sa mga analysis na ginawa ni Darwin for 20 years as well as yung mga fossils. For example, no, doon tayo nagkaroon ng tracing back, no, ng lineage natin. Okay? Pero wala talaga nakapag-observe ng evolution. Ang ibig sabihin kasi ng empirical evidences is that it should be based on your senses. Okay? So kailangan nakita siya, naramdaman, no? Kagaya ng Big Bang theory, it remains theory kasi no one observed the Big Bang. Unlike yung mga law, for example, the law of inertia, no? Yan, na-observe natin yan. Mga laws of motion ni Isaac Newton. Ano pa ba? The law of inheritance by Gregor Mendel. Yan, napag-aaralan natin yan sa mga laboratory. So they are different from theory. Pero sir, ibig sabihin po ba nun, i-accept po ba natin or i-reject na po natin yung mga theory kasi po hindi naman po sila napapatunayan eh. Okay? So dito na papasok ang tinatawag nating verification theory and falsification theory. So ano ba ang difference, no? Ano ang difference ng verification theory and falsification theory? Okay. So let's try to define, no? When we say verificationism, also known as the verifiability criterion of meaning or the verification principle, is the doctrine that proposition is only cognitively meaningful if it can be definitely or conclusively determined to be either true or false. Or in other terms, no, verification theory is also the earliest criterion that distinguishes philosophy and science. No, the idea proposes that a discipline is science if it can be confirmed or interpreted only in the event of what we call the alternative hypothesis being accepted. So in this regard, the said theory gives premium to empiricism. Ibig sabihin, ang mga tinatanggap lang ng verification theory are those based on empirical evidences. Okay? So empiricism, it only takes into account those results which are measurable experiments and which are repeatable. Okay? So yun lang ang tinatanggap niya, no? Yung ng mga verification theory, okay? Yung kailangan they need to be tested, they should be subject for experimented, no? Or experiments, and then they should be repeatable. Okay? Di ako lang kung nandito yung okay. Before we proceed with the falsification theory, let us expound, no, yung meaning ng verification theory, no? Okay. So again, the very definition of verification theory, no? So a discipline is science if it can be confirmed or interpreted in the event of an alternative hypothesis being accepted. No, it gives premium on empiricism, takes into account those results which are measurable experiments and are repeatable. Now, this belief actually, no, this actually from a movement in the early 20th century called the Vienna Circle. So yung Vienna Circle, ito yung mga group of scholars who believe that only those which can be observed should be regarded as meaningful and reject which cannot be observed, okay, or which cannot be directly accessed as meaningless. Okay, ano ibig sabihin nito? Ibig sabihin, sa verification theory, hindi niya i-value or hindi niya i-recognize ang theory of evolution ni Charles Darwin as well as the Big Bang theory kasi it is not observed. So again, ang tinatanggap lang niya is verification. You try to verify it because, no, again, meron siyang quality that it can be subjected for experimentation. Okay? Pero yung ganitong klaseng paniniwala kasi, no, or the verification theory is actually very risky, no? Sobrang risky niya. Now, the verification theory proved to be attractive, no, sa general consensus or from the people. Kasi it happened to see for themselves how the experiment occurred. Kasi 'di ba tayo, naniniwala tayo, I mean, to see is to believe, no? Karamihan ng mga tao gusto nilang makita muna bago nila paniwalaan. Okay? Since they are subject for experiment and repeatable tests, no? So the evidence says its validity, no? Solid yung kanyang validity and garnering supporters from the esteemed figures. Okay? So ano yung risk nito? Yung shortcoming, however, proved to be somewhat too risky. So several budding theories that lack empirical results might be shut down. Okay? So when you shut down a theory, no, a theory, for example, halimbawa, ang theory ni Charles Darwin, hindi siya based sa empiricism. So kung puro verificationism tayo or verification theory ang pinaniniwalaan natin, i-shut down natin siya agad kasi wala siyang empirical data. Wala siyang empirical basis. Okay? So when we have empirical basis kasi, dun pa lang tayo naniniwala, no? Sabi nga ng verification theory. So anong pwedeng maging risk nun? So ang pag-shutdown natin ng mga or prematurely shutting down budding theories, ibig sabihin ng budding yung mga namumukadkad pa lang, no? Halimbawa, if we reject the theory of evolution, sa tingin niyo maintindihan ba natin? If we reject yung kay yung Big Bang theory, yung kay Schrödinger, no? Yung a lot of theories. So this it might actually cause slow innovation, no? And we are actually punishing the ingenuity of newer novel thoughts. Okay? Halimbawa, yung mga celebrated discoveries in physics, no, are initially theorized without proper acknowledgement of their being. Halimbawa, yung kay Einstein theory of existence ng gravity. Dati walang naniniwala kay Einstein. So kung if we follow the verification theory, it might lead to shutting down. And then later on, we prove that Einstein is actually correct. No? For example, even Stephen Hawking, no, yung kanyang view of the black hole. And then we prove na tama sila. So kung i-shut down natin agad yon, pwedeng mag-cause yon ng slower innovation. So is that still human flourishing? Okay? All right. So that's it, no? That is the verification. Now, ano naman ang falsification theory? Ang falsification theory naman, no? As long as an ideology is not proven to be false, okay? Ang theory of evolution, it is not false. It is not also a law. True, kasi nga, it is not observed empirically, okay? So, ibig sabihin, as long as an ideology is not proven false, it can be best explained by a phenomenon over alternative theories. We should accept the said ideology. Ito naman sinasabi ng falsification. Kumbaga, ang verification, more exclusive siya, while falsification is more inclusive. O sige, tanggapin natin ang mga theory ninyo. Tapos, hintayin na lang natin na merong theory na makapag-prove na mali kayo. Doon pa lang namin kayo ifa-falsify. Okay? So, because of falsification theory, it allowed the emergence of theories otherwise rejected by the verification theory. So, yung mga na-reject ng verification theory, dito sila ngayon pumunta. No? Because as you stand there, it encourages research in order to determine which among the theories can stand the test of falsification. For example, no, the theory of use and disuse by Lamarck, no? So in-accept yan ang falsification theory. Sige, accept natin ang theory ni Lamarck na sinasabi niyang the more that we use our body part, no, umahaba siya or lumalaki, nagde-develop, and then we pass it to our offspring. And then dumating ang theory ni Charles Darwin na mas maraming evidences. Okay, doon pa lang siya na-falsify. Pero hindi siya agad ni-reject. So that is the difference of the verification and the falsification theory. So the falsification theory is actually, no, introduced by Karl Popper. So it aims at the production of new falsifiable predictions. Scientific practice is characterized by its continual effort to test theories against experience and make revisions based on the outcomes of these tests. So ngayon, no, sabi nga natin, possible na pwede pa ring ma-disprove ang mga theories na nag-exist, kagaya ng evolution, Big Bang theory, no. As long as na they are not proven to be false, they stand the test of falsifiability. Okay? So that is the difference, no, ng falsification and verification theory. Okay? So meron pa tayo dito, no, on the question if okay. So here, no, I think let's move forward, no, dun sa definition of science as or science and result, no. So for the most part, people who do not understand science are won over when discipline is able to produce result, no? Kaya nga ganito naging very appealing sa public, no, ang verification theory, because they produce result, no? So people believe in science when it produce result. Kagaya ng, no, in religion, when Jesus fed 5,000, the results are more followers and believers, no? So ganun din ang science. When you produce result, mas makakapag-gain ka ng maraming followers, no? But then people are actually sold over to the capacity of science to do stuff they cannot fully comprehend. So in this particular argument, science is not the only discipline which is able to produce result, no? Nandiyan din ang religion. Kaya nga ang religion, marami siyang mga followers. Nandiyan din ang swerte, no? 'Di ba? We believe in luck, no? Naniniwala tayo sa mga superstitious belief na ay swerte itong ganito, gawin natin. Kasi marami siyang result na produce for many people. Okay? And then we also have for communities, no, without access to science, they can turn to divination and superstition and still get the same result, no, at the same time. So science not entirely foolproof. So hindi naman natin sinasabi na science is 100% correct of the time. Okay? So ibig sabihin, no, we are actually oriented to results. That's why science keeps on producing result, no? A very good example, no, sa basketball, meron tayong pinaniniwalaan na tinatawag nating hot hand fallacy, no? Ano bang sinasabi ng hot hand fallacy? So let's say a basketball player has made his last 5 shots, no? Nakapag-shoot siya na ng 5 times, no? And successfully. So there is a natural tendency to see his performance as hot, no? So the average observer would think that the chance the player will make it his next shot is far in excess of his average shooting percentage, no? Pero surprisingly, a detailed study of the NBA by Cornell professor Tom Gilovich found no evidence of this hotness dynamic. So wala siyang kinalaman. Kasi in physics, we can prove that every shoot, no, ng basketball are independent with one another. So the study concluded that the chance of a player making shot was independent of whether he had made or missed the previous shot. So walang kinalaman na porket nakapag-shoot ka lang 5 times, automatically ma-shoot mo yung next. No. So it doesn't work like that. Okay? Now, science as a social endeavor, no? Another school of thought on the proper demarcation criterion of science, it emerged due to its inconclusiveness of the previously discussed methodologies. It explores the social dimensions of science and technology. A good example is that science in Eastern culture does not mean inferior to that of the Western culture, no? So again, due to inconclusiveness of the methodologies previously cited, no, dito, yung mga several philosophers such as Paul Thagard, Eimer Lakatos, Helen Longino, David Blur, and Richard Rorty, pero no, I will not let you memorize that, no. Sabihin lang natin na they presented an alternative demarcation that explores the social dimension of science and effectively technology. Okay? Science ceased to belong solely, no, to gown-wearing, bespectacled scientists at laboratories. So the new view perpetuates a dimension which generally benefits the society. For instance, no, yung mga far-off places in South America where many of the tribes remain uncontacted do not regard Western science as their science, no? So hindi natin pwede sabihin na yung science lang is yung mga ano lang, yung mga naka-lab or mga nasa laboratory, no? Science in South America nga, no, is different. So whatever their science is, it can be ascertained that it is in no way inferior of that of the globalized people science. Halimbawa tayo sa Pilipinas, no? Ano ba yung science natin? Science natin yung pag mix ng gene tapos sisindihan mo, no? So no, I mean ibig sabihin lang nito, no? It presents an alternative notion that goes beyond the boundaries of cold, hard facts of science and instead projects it in a different light, such as manifestation of shared experience, forging solidarity over communities, no? On how they produce result, no? On how they kasi nga ang ibig sabihin kasi ng inconclusiveness, ano parang hindi clear, no, yung mga methodologies. That's why science has no perfected methodology also, no? Meron lang tayong parang more like sinusunod in a general view, pero science can be viewed in different way, no? And another thing science has as an education, no, dito science shape or precondition that the younger minds na it is a superior field. For example, mas marami ang nagtitake ngayon ng STEM, no, at mataas ang tingin natin sa mga people pursuing science, Okay? So that's it, no? So and for the last one, no? So let us ask this question. How much is too much? Okay? So meron tayong tinatawag, no? So dito na tayo actually on the critiquing part, no, of human flourishing. So how much is too much? Gaano ba kasobra ang sobra na? Okay? Now, before I will proceed with the discussion, no, medyo mahaba kasi yung video na ipapanood ko sa inyo. Okay? So kindly please go to YouTube, no, and go to this video. So can we fix climate change? No? So because one of the reason of questioning our flourishing is climate change, no? Tapos lagay niyo yung channel na Kurzgesagt. Okay? This is actually a 16 or 17-minute video, no? Medyo mahaba siya. Okay? Kaya I will not play it anymore. I just want you to watch it on your own. Go to YouTube. Okay? Panoorin niyo itong video na to, because this will give you an understanding whether we can solve climate change or what is our way, no, of understanding it. And then I will just present this, no, for you to read kasi meron tong kinalaman sa activity na gagawin ninyo. Okay? The MDG or the Millennium Development Program of the United Nations. Okay? So I want you to watch also this video, no, aside from this. So MDG, no, and SDG goals. So ito, the transitioning from the MDGs to SDGs. So please watch this also. Okay? Patapos na kasi yung recording time ko sa Zoom. I only have 1 hour. And then the sustainability illusion, no? Ano ba ang actually we will discuss this naman primarily on the coming modules, no? We will give in details. So parang dito kina-question, ano ba ang definition natin ng progress and growth? So yung bang meron tayo ngayon is really progress? Because hindi parang napapasama kasi nga 'di ba? We are actually exploiting our resources, no? We are destroying, not only acquiring and using. And we can say na the more na dumadami talaga yung tao, we can say that the competition is getting bigger. The competition is getting more competitive to the resources, no? And we only have finite resources here on earth, no? And the last one, no, time for the degrowth. So try to read on this one, no, si Jason Hickel. Actually, meron din dun sa video dun sa about climate change, about the degrowth. So sinasabi lang dito na parang instead na we push countries to get out of poverty or to develop, no, degrowth. Kumbaga, step back tayo ng konti for us to solve the problems about, many problems about how we progress, no? So, okay, so I want you to, I will leave that to you, no, the question on that, and then I'll just upload the activity. Meron to mga questions, no? So please take time to read on Jason Hickel's, okay, on this one. Though meron ako mga section na discuss na to, okay? And then all right. So as a summary, no, we can say that human flourishing is defined as being good-spirited in the classical Aristotelian notion. So today, humans gauge flourishing in how science and technology advances. Despite science being flawed in its objectivity and systematic methodology, people who excel in its field are still being favored. No? Nire-recognize pa rin naman sila. But then, the economic perception of growth is heavily fueled by technology. No? Whether we like it or not, we depend solely on technology. And not solely, we depend mostly on technology and should be impeded. So we have to rethink of our perception of good life, no? Kasi the concept of degrowth, again, no, you will understand this summary na sinasabi ko if you watch the climate change video and the MDG and SD. Don't worry, very interesting yung climate change, no? For example, doon yung malalaman na yung pagsabi sa atin na hindi paggamit ng straw, pag-segregate, kumbaga ginagawang responsibility sa mga common na tao, hindi siya nakakatulong sa pag-solve ng climate change because that is not the real problem. The real solution to the problem. Okay? And let's take a look at our objectives. No, I think we're able to identify the different concept of human flourishing. No, the happiness, the hedonistic view, the eudaimonia, determine the development of the scientific method and validity of science by the verification, falsification theory, the scientific method, the science as an endeavor in education. And then sa critiquing of human flourishing, after you watch the video, you try to critique, no? Ano ba para sa atin ang good life? How do we define good life? no? Are we able to really flourish, no, in the world that we live in, or na hindi to progress para sa akin eh, no? You judge it on your own. Okay? So let's try to ask ourselves, no? Is our reverence of science justified? Were we successful so far in trying to tie down technology with what we conceive as human flourishing? No? Kasi halimbawa yung mga nag-start si Heidegger mag-question sa technology after ng World War II eh, no? Yung World War II, gamit na gamit ang technology, no? In destroying the lives of other people and of course the community. And what do you think constitutes human flourishing? And to end this lesson, I'll leave you this quotation. No? Anyone who thinks that you can have infinite growth on a planet with finite resources is either a madman or an economist, by David Attenborough. Okay? So that's the end, no, of our discussion. So meron akong i-upload na activity that you will accomplish, and the deadline of that will be on Friday this week. Okay? So thank you so much and have a great time. Have a great day.